Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Something Super Spiritual. I wanted to do something a little bit different this week, and I invited a friend of mine for the last 5 years now. I mean, can you believe it's been like almost 5 years?
I know, time flies.
So
Crazy.
this is my dear friend, the Spiritual Blacksmith
Yeah.
herself in person. You guys, the Spiritual Blacksmith here with me is truly an incredible spiritual teacher, spiritual inspiration. You inspire
Mm.
me.
Oh, thank you.
Medium, psychic, yoga instructor, um, plant-based journey leader. Um, I'm making up all my words, you
Yeah,
know.
I know. I know.
um, yeah, you guys are truly amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Of course, of course. I'm honored to be here, so thank you so much.
Thank you. So let's talk about a lot of people like to know right off the start, like, were you spiritually connected or did you recognize spirit from the crib? Or was this something that kind of happened later in life? What's your journey like been with spirit?
No, I'm not one of those people who um, had this gift from being a baby. Definitely not me. At least I don't think so. I feel like things opened up for me later in life. And then in looking back, I can see how it's been there the whole time. I just was not cognizant of it.
That's it.
Yeah, I was in the matrix,
Yes,
hardcore, living my life, but then looking back, things make sense now.
totally.
Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
yeah, yeah.
I opened up in 2006 after becoming tuned to Reiki, and it was,
Mm,
completely unexpected.
right.
The side effect for me that first weekend was it literally ignited all of the spiritual senses, and I thought I was losing my mind. So
Yeah.
now, having had that experience, it's been almost 20 years. Um,
Mhm.
like you said, looking back, prior to that, I would have never thought really much about my experiences.
Yeah,
But after that,
yeah.
looking back, you're like, oh,
Oh,
get it now.
yeah. I feel the same way. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in the church. I grew up going to church every Sunday, super Christian, reading the Bible, Sunday school, all that stuff. And so I guess my spirituality was wrapped in that.
Yeah,
And once I stepped into this world, or once my spirit team came and got me,
yeah,
that's the way I like to put it, and said, "Hey, it's time to get to work. You know why you really came." Things made sense. And then even when I look back on my religious upbringing and my religious beliefs, they were only deepened, but in a different, more meaningful way. I feel like I was playing church, I was reading the Bible, I was memorizing verses, but I didn't understand what it really meant to be in relationship with Source, to be in relationship with a higher power.
agreed.
And now I do. Now it all makes sense. And then I'm sad for all the things I missed out on when I was focused on words and rules and memorizing things and not really living and understanding what it really means to be in the presence of Source and to be enamored with Source
Oh,
and to be a channel for healing for Source. It changes your outlook on people, on your relationship with yourself, on how you view your life, what you came to do, what will be once you leave the earth plane. My ideas of heaven changed,
yeah.
hell changed. I think
Yeah.
things are
Oh,
different,
yep. Yep.
but different in a good way. You know what I mean? It just
Oh,
makes you look at life differently and shift the focus of what's really, 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 really important.
truth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so how did you come to wake up to the divinity within yourself? Was it an overnight thing, like for me, or like how did it work for you? What's your story?
So I'm really stubborn, so it wasn't overnight. You know, I'm very logical, left brain type A person, and I'm very fact based. And so for me, it occurred probably about 15 years ago or so. I was working, and my background is as an attorney, just to give you a little bit of coloring to me. So
Okay.
I'm very like black and white facts and all that. And so I was working at this job. I was a deputy district attorney at the time. And I remember just thinking to myself, there's gotta be more. There's gotta be more. I'm successful. I have a, nice job, a nice house, a nice car, but there's gotta be something more. And I do really remember saying that. And I felt like at that time in my life, I was like, floating on a lily pad on a lake, which
Yeah.
most people will think, oh, that's great. But for me, I'm like, that was very frustrating because it's just like everything seems fine, but I feel like I need to be doing something else. Like this is just not it. And it was in that energy that I think that my soul was like, hey,
Yoo-hoo.
hey, it's time. She's ready. Hello, she's ready. Go get your girl. She's ready. And I think that's what it was. And I needed to be in that state
Yeah.
so that I could recognize the opportunity. And a friend of mine at the time said, oh, I know this shaman. I want you to come meet this shaman with me. And I was like, oh, shaman. I don't like that. No, I don't mess with that because, going to church. But in looking back, that was the beginning of
Yes.
the beginning of the end so that I could have the real beginning I needed.
Yes.
And it was meeting that person and just allowing that schism, that crack, that little bend in reality to open. That's what I needed because that person gave me a reading. That was my first reading I'd ever had. And they were able to pick up on someone in my life that they couldn't have known
Yep.
about.
Yep.
They described them to a T, what they look like. And this person could not have known this person. I didn't even tell my friend who's with me about the person who they had picked up on. And that person was very significant in my life. And so just walking away from that experience, my brain was just like, what the what huh? And that's all my brain needed, just to have that little crack, just to have that little thing go, wait a minute, things are not always as they appear. So maybe there's more. And it was within that crack that started to
Yep.
and open up. And it took a while. It took a couple of years, but over those few years, I oddly enough began meeting spiritual people
Oh,
and people who didn't go to church, but they were still spiritual. Which is weird to me. So you don't go to church, you don't, because I was very judgy about it at the time. But being around them and seeing that, okay, these are people who don't go to church, but they still have the same ideals basically that I do. It's just they're not going to church every Sunday. Oh, then you're in that quandary of what I really believe. Am I believing this particular thing, or am I believing the substance and the understanding of this thing? And so it was just through meeting them, allowing my mind to release some judgments, that things finally started to open. And then I found a church, a spiritualist church, in my city, and started going there, and that began to open up some new things for me.
oh, sure did.
And and then they have classes and circles, and for the first few months I would just sit in the circles and watch people give messages, and just like because my brain was still observing and not quite believing all this stuff.
Oh,
um,
100%. Yep.
but eventually I started giving a little message here to someone, and they go, no, that's correct. I was like, really? You know, and it was just those little bitty things that allowed my true gifts to begin to come back to the surface. I began to remember. And
Yes.
then I remembered, as you mentioned, Reiki, getting certified in Reiki. And I remember looking at the book, and I remember reading through the pamphlet, and I remember the next day I woke up, I was just like, what? And all of a sudden, it's like my healing abilities came back. And when I say came back, because I realized later I had a reading, I think like a year later, with someone who read my past lives. And in that life, I was a huge healer.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, of course, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
It makes sense. And so it's just interesting how I had to really release some things in order to allow what had been there the whole time to
Yes.
just come back to the surface, to remember who I was. And I think I forgot that. And I think a lot of us do. We get caught up in this life, but I feel like one of the roles that we have is to come into this life and remember why we came. I mean, I tell
Totally.
my clients, my job is to help you remember, why did you come? You didn't come here just to play shits and giggles. Like, you
Totally.
came to do something. You came to either heal yourself, to work on some stuff, to rectify some stuff, you came to do something. And if you come through this life, get up, work, sleep, poo, die, you've missed it. You missed it, you know? So I was awakened. And it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. And now, like I said, looking back, I'm like, this is what this is what I was meant to be doing this whole time.
Yeah.
But I needed to be in the matrix. I needed to build those skills.
Yeah.
I needed them,
Oh,
but
totally.
I feel like to use them in the spiritual sense. Yeah.
Um, this the story is so inspiring and it's compelling, just given the nature of who you were
Mm.
before, being fully left brain, very logical, very reasonable, very rational, very Christian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The judgments that come with being very Christian, that
Yeah.
while we're very Christian, we don't see as judgments.
Hello? Yes.
so, so
Yeah.
all of that, and to have that little crack,
Mm.
a little bit more light in, a little bit more light in, a little bit
Literally.
more light in, and suddenly you're like, wait a minute. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
awesome. And as we talk about this often. It's happening to more and more and more people
It
today.
is.
More and
And it's
more.
beautiful when it happens. It's beautiful. I love to see it. I love it.
Oh, I do too. It's miraculous, actually. It's
Yeah.
miraculous to watch people come back into
Right.
recognizing their true divinity and their true
Yes.
sense of self, and
Yes.
certain in finding, seeking out their purpose that they came in with again. And
Mhm.
yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. You had mentioned prior to telling your story how your sense of relationship to source has changed. Your sense of understanding of source has changed.
Yeah.
Can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I think growing up, I looked at God as this like figure who I went to for things, and I didn't want to be mad at me for things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That I had to put on a show for to be perfect in front of. And once I realized that there's a difference between religion and relationship, and really understanding that if we'll go back to the Bible, that God left the Holy Ghost in each and every one of us. Yeah, we have God in each and every one of us. So that means God knows me already just the way I am. And that's okay. That's okay. And so why put on a show? Why do we get dressed up to go to church on Sunday? And we put on our Sunday best and we have this wonderful attitude. And then we go to church and then we come back during the week and we just let it all go. And then we go back to Sunday and we do this thing. And I'm like, but God's with you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 o'clock in the morning when you're doing all your shenanigans. God is there. God is there.
Mm-hmm.
So God knows me. I mean, God knows that I like to cuss.
Yep.
God knows me. Jesus knows me.
Yeah.
So why do I pretense on one day of the week? And so I just began to really be myself. I had to be myself because one of the things, and I don't know about you, but one of the things that probably kept me from stepping into my spiritual path sooner was that I thought that, well, if I really step out and step into this life and follow this calling, I need to give up a lot of the things that aren't spiritual. So
Oh,
that means there's no more cussing. I don't think I can drink anymore. Oh, can't go to the club. Can't have sex with someone. I can't. I can't.
Mm-mm.
I had to say, you know what? Stop. God knows all my business and still loves me anyway.
Truth.
So, and so I had to really come to grips with that and say, God has always loved me. A piece of God is within me. We are one and the same. And so I need to be okay with that. And I need to come and enjoy this life, but also remember why I came and how can I allow people, how can I show people that you could still be who you are and have a relationship with God and be accepted by God and still shine your light so that we can let everyone know that God is love. At the end of the day, God is love. God doesn't care about you eating meat on a Friday.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, God just doesn't. Man does.
Yep.
Man's worried about that. But God, no.
Mm-mm.
And so it was just kind of exploring all of those things that have just allowed me to just go, wow, like there's nothing that I can do that can separate me from the love of God. There's nothing I could do, like nothing.
Nothing.
That means I could be myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means I can be myself. Like I don't have to put on these pretenses. I don't have to run. I don't have to do anything. And there are people out there who are like me who probably feel the same way, who've been hiding because they don't think they're worthy enough to be in church or worthy enough of God's love. And when you don't feel like you're worthy, you will do anything to find glimpses of that worth. You'll do
Glimpses of
anything.
acceptance, glimpses of validation. And you know what? Sometimes a lot of that ain't good.
It's not
I mean, let's
at
be
all.
honest.
It at
Yeah.
all in that search for glimpses. But if you know that you already have it,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. You don't have to do all that stuff. You don't. And are you perfect? No, of course not. Of course not. Do we aim to be better versions of ourselves? Of course we do. But I think that when you realize that you're doing it for a different reason, for yourself and no one else, it changes that. Like I do things now for me. I don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't care what anyone else thinks about what I do in my life. But I know I want to be a better person. I know that I want to show God's love to draw other people to relationship with Source.
Mhm.
That's what motivates me,
Yeah.
you know? And so it was a mix of that, just allowing myself to be myself and knowing that I'm okay. Because, science says that no two people have the same fingerprint.
Yeah.
Even if they're identical twins, triplets, you do not have the same fingerprint. That means every single person on the face of this earth is different and unique. That means every single person on the face of this earth will experience this life differently and has something different to offer. Every single person. So I can't be like anyone else. I can't. And I feel like, when you are yourself, you shine your light, and you draw those that are like you to you. And in that likeness, you guys support each other. You encourage each other. You learn from each other. And so it's like if I'm not myself, then how am I going to draw the right people to me that are going to help me in this life if I'm not myself?
Oh, what a great point.
You know what I mean? Like, how am I going to do that? And instead, if I don't, then I'm around people who aren't even like me, who can't help me, who can't offer me anything. And then where am I? And then what am I doing? And so it's like we have to be ourselves. We have to. And it's okay.
So, how did your relationship with Jesus change?
Mhm, mhm. That was a hard one, because I grew up, singing all those Sunday school songs, JSUS, do my little thing. And I had to allow myself to say, I still am a follower and believer in Jesus, the man who came and really tried his best with these stubborn ass humans to show us God's love,
Yes.
to free us from the rules that we imposed upon ourselves that have nothing to do with the love of God. That's what Jesus came to do. And in that sense, yes, I believe and I follow Jesus. Jesus was the original psychic. He was prophesying left and right. He was the original Reiki master. He was laying hands on
Totally.
people,
Oh,
raising people.
yeah,
And Jesus said, all the things I do, you can do. So I feel like in my life now, I am more Christ-like than I've ever been.
agreed. Yeah,
I really do. I feel like I am because, this is what Christ came to teach us that we just gloss over and instead have created this religion around him, kind of, sort of, and let go of all these other things that, came with Christ, like he was married. Boo
yeah,
boop.
yeah,
Can't have that.
yeah,
Uh-oh. You sure? And so it really deepened my understanding and appreciation for Christ. And so I still believe in Christ. But I also, in this path, believe that there are many other teachers who walk the face of the earth as well.
totally.
Again, trying to teach us how to be better humans to ourselves and each other, yet we still are not listening.
Whew.
We're not listening, we're stubborn.
Yeah.
So yes, I do believe in Jesus. Um, I do.
Yeah, that one was a tough one for me too, because growing up in the Lutheran church,
Mm,
you know, Catholic light, we used to call it, and um, being gay, I had I probably still have some triggers that are, needing to be healed through all of that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and so that was a really deep wound for me.
yeah.
And I wanted absolutely nothing to do with any of it.
Mm,
And then and I didn't. And I
yeah,
was free. You know what I mean? I was free.
yeah.
And then after I get hit over the head with the Reiki 2x4. And
Yeah.
and I woke up with like, wow, we're recognizing who we are and who I am,
Mm,
in some deep meditations. I experienced Jesus, like
yeah.
the true Yeshua
True. Yes.
that
Yes.
that had come in through Reiki treatments with people. As
Yeah.
I'm standing over with my hands on him, and I see him standing on the other end with his hands over their feet.
Mm,
And in the midst of this, I'm feeling like I'm literally making this all up and just imagine. But I'm still just watching, and I'm just watching, and I'm enamored, and I feel the light, I feel the love, I feel the tears. When you hit that space with spirit and tears just fall.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, how I knew it was real was the lady, after it was all said and done, she gets up and she said, "I saw Jesus standing at my feet while you were at my."
Mm,
Ah,
mm,
what? What? Oh, wow. Was
yeah.
we just given a
Yeah.
true miraculous experience, shared experience together?
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I mean, this spiritual figure, so real,
Yeah.
was even like, it was then where I experienced the true realness. And it's been that kind of relationship since, not the Christian version
No.
that's I grew up with.
No. Yeah. It's Jesus the healer. And even I do the same thing when I treat clients for Reiki. I'm literally calling on the ultimate healer, Jesus.
100%. Yeah.
Jesus.
I pull in
I
everybody.
want
I got
you.
Jesus, I
Oh,
got Archangel Raphael and all of his helpers. I mean,
yeah.
Kuan Yin, Mother Mary. Let's get everybody
Literally.
here.
Everybody,
We
come on
got
in.
wounded children that need to be healed on our insides. We need all the mothers.
Yes.
We need everybody. So
Yes.
honestly,
Yes.
ah,
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. It's just amazing how you really just truly begin to understand things differently. And then I look at people who are not there yet. And I'm just like, man, oh, you are missing out.
Oh,
And I'm not even looking down upon them. I'm just like, no, legit, you are really missing out. If you think it's good now, wait till you really get a taste of really knowing who you are and really knowing you are literally loved from the sole of your feet to the root of every single one of the hairs on your head and on your body. And there's nothing you could do wrong, and you're adequate, and you're loved and protected, and you have a whole team in the spirit world who
woo,
supports you
isn't that the truth?
and
Like,
roots for you.
oh my God, I say that so often in my live streams. Is like if people could literally see
Mm,
all of their helpers and supporters
mm,
um around them.
mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
we would our think how different our life would be without doubt,
oh,
without fear, without feeling like, well, I'm not enough. I'm not enough for that. Oh, who am I to get
right,
on a live stream and have say something? You know,
right, right.
I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
who's gonna listen?
oh, it yeah, it changes everything from your inside
Yeah,
and the outside in. And then,
yeah,
we are just, we're doing what we're doing, having this conversation for the podcast listeners, for the YouTube viewers. We talked about you coming on a live stream sometime in the
yes,
future
yes.
and interacting with all those beautiful people. And I just step out there every day in hopes that I might inspire somebody,
Mhm.
inspire curiosity,
Yeah,
inspire hope, inspire their own, like, what's it all about? Like, can I do that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it's just,
But you do. I mean, you do. I mean, I see you all the time. You do.
thank
And just like you said, it's just allowing someone to go, can, can I? Oh my God, you think I could do that? I tell people, it's like, we give people the permission slip
that's it.
to just be you. It's just the permission slip, and
That's all it
we need
is.
that,
Oh,
you know?
mhm.
And I feel like that's how people are. And people are genuinely, I think at the core of who they are, they want to be good. They want to be good.
I believe that too.
I
I,
think they want to be good. But sometimes society and what you've been going through in your life circumstances, it's hard to act upon that want. I remember when I used to be a DA, and I'd, be the calendar deputy in the courtroom in the morning, dealing with all the files, and the defense attorneys would come in and they'd walk to my table. Okay, on the Gonzalez case, I'm blah blah. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Good morning. And they just look at me and I'm like, good morning. How was your weekend? It's Monday morning. And they're like, well, it was fine. Okay, so can we do the plea deal? And I'm like, oh no. So your morning was good? Okay, great. So now, how can I help you on your client's case? And I would do that, right? And it would kind of throw them off. But then after a while, they come in, oh, good morning, how are you? And then we do a chit chat, and then we get to business. It's like they need the permission slip to be human just for 2 minutes, just to be a human person, interact with me. We're all doing our job. Nothing is personal. So,
mhm.
hi, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And one time somebody was like, no one ever asked me that. And I'm like, I know. I'm legitimately asking, how are you this morning? Had a rough morning. It's okay. I hope things get better for you. All right, now let's talk about your client's case. It's those little bitty things, but it's just like, giving people that permission slip to just be authentic, be human, that shifts in them. And it's like a ripple effect. And they're going to go back to their office and maybe not be as grumpy with their coworker, as grumpy with their paralegals, grumpy with their secretary. It's like people don't understand this permission slip that we give people literally does change other people's lives and interact with them. So I don't take it lightly, with this stuff. I want for people to just go, can I do that? You can do that. You can. Try it. Just try
100%.
it. Try it. And then they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. And then they're going to tell someone else, and oh, and then it just spreads. It's like the little light, it just spreads
It
to
does. That's
everyone
it.
else. And I feel like that's our job. I'm not here to heal anyone, quote unquote,
Mhm.
but I'm here to help you begin to unpack
Hold the
and
space.
unfold and hold space for you while you see how you can heal yourself. And I do believe we all have the capacity to heal ourselves. Sometimes we just don't know where to start.
Oh, the
That's where we
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
where we come in. I'll
Yeah.
give you a starting point.
Yeah.
I'll hold your hand as you go through it, so you don't have to do it alone. But I do feel like you are capable of doing it yourself, of doing the work yourself, you know?
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Darling, we've already been talking for 50 minutes.
Shut
And
up.
I know. So,
What?
so here's the thing. Like, I feel like we could go into an entire part two. Uh,
Yes.
um, but please, you know what? Tell everybody.
Mhm.
Hold on, give me just a second here.
Okay.
Before I ask this question, please let everybody know where they can find you. Anything that you have coming up. I know you have a couple things on your calendar coming up that are really beautiful. So please let people know about those, and then I'll ask you the last question.
Okay. So you could find me, Spiritual Blacksmith, on Instagram and on Facebook. Also, my website, www.spiritualblacksmith.com. I'm based in San Diego. I have a store in San Diego as well. You can come in for readings, healings. As you mentioned, I am a psychic, a medium, a Reiki master, a medical intuitive, a yoga teacher as well, and I also teach meditation and mindfulness. I hold sound healing events. I facilitate plant medicine circles and weekly, monthly workshops to help you step into and grow your spiritual gifts, whatever they are. I also hold retreats, international retreats. I just had a retreat over the summer in Cambodia and Bali. I'll be doing another one of those next July as well. And all this is on my website. I have a retreat coming up in October, the weekend of the 18th in Ensenada, Mexico. It's going to be an ayahuasca weekend retreat with a lot of healing work, working on inner child issues, and just really allowing yourself to ignite that inner divine passion within so you can remember who you are and stand tall and move through the rest of your life and get ready for a wonderful 2025. So that's what's coming up. What else? Yeah, they could find me anywhere. Just Spiritual Blacksmith. You Google it, you could find me.
Spiritual
Also
Blacksmith wins.
on YouTube too. I have YouTube videos and all that too on my YouTube.
So for those who are listening out in the podcast world, and for those who are watching and us on YouTube, and maybe it's the first time that they're seeing you and hearing us talk about this journey through outside of the religion into where we are today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear out there,
Mhm.
especially in that place of feeling like, how can I let go of my religion? How can I let go of my beliefs, the belief system that is so imprinted within us?
Mhm.
To start thinking for ourselves, to start feeling for ourselves, just to give us that permission. What would you
Right.
like to say to those people who are listening and just feeling that need, that pull, that call from the divine, that call from spirit, their own soul, pulling them out?
I would say trust it and know that you are safe to explore. You're safe to explore. I always said, as I was experiencing that same fear when the call was happening, I was like, I don't know if I could let go of these beliefs that I have. I just don't know. Then I have to think and say, I love God. Do I think God loves me? Of course. So why would Jesus let me fall into something that's going to hurt me? Why would that happen? And I was like, it's not. If I really love and trust God, and this is where I feel that God's calling me to, let me just step forward and see. And if you cry out, your soul says, okay, I'm trusting you guys, stepping out, here I go, they will respond because this is a walk of faith. I learned through my spiritual walk what true faith means to put one foot in front of the other and really trust that you are held and then actually being caught, you're like, wow. And so now I have no fear.
Yeah.
I have no fear. I mean, as you know, I just recently purchased a place in Bali.
Yeah.
What? If you would ask me this same thing about Bali last year, this time, I'm like, I would get a place in Bali. Are you smoking crack? All of that went down in a matter of months, but I trusted. An opportunity came. I was like, okay, I'm stepping out on faith. Okay, and I did, and everything falls into place. So this literally is a test, a walk in faith. But it's a test you can't fail. You can't fail it.
Truth.
You
That's
you
it.
you there's literally no way to fail. So I would say do it, and know that you are divinely protected and guided at every step of the way.
Every step
And
of the way.
yeah,
Totally.
literally every step, left, right, left, right, left, right. But if you are one who wants to know the path first, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. You have to literally trust one foot in front of the other, because
Yeah.
as you lift up your foot to place it down, spirit will put that stone right there and you will have something to step on. And you do it again, here we go. The stone gets placed. It literally is a walk in faith. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. I had chills listening to you talk a little bit about that because it's so true and it looks different for all of us. And
Mm,
when we do answer that call and we recognize it's time for us to open up and to head this direction. You know, you mentioned it when you got your first crack. You know, you mentioned it how suddenly you're starting to meet new spiritual people. They're coming at you in every direction. And you're like, wait a minute, what is happening? When the student is ready, the teacher arrives, and suddenly you've got teachers coming in your path in every direction you turn.
literally.
And it is that synchronicity in action. Spirit
Yeah.
speaks to us through those synchronicities, through those
Yeah.
repeating numbers, through the repeating experiences with, you know, birds, hummingbirds, butterflies, dragonflies, whatever, right? I mean, spirit is always connected with us. And
Always.
I love how you stated that. So,
Thank you.
Spiritual Blacksmith, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
This is great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to that live.
Yes, we're going to say goodbye here to everybody, and then we're going to put you on the calendar.
Thank
So
you.
again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. You've been watching another episode of Something Super Spiritual, and I know that you all have so many places for your attention to be, and I'm so honored and grateful to have you here with us. And if you have not experienced a live stream, do take a look at Jeffrey Peck Medium on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and join us on those live streams because they really are fun. The community is growing. The community is so safe and so welcoming and so supportive of each other, and it's awesome. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you again for listening to the Something Super Spiritual podcast. If you know someone who would enjoy this episode, please do share it with a friend. For show notes, links, and to purchase a mediumship reading, my website is somethingsuperspiritual.com. You can also easily subscribe and follow the show on your favorite app, sign up for my newsletter for bonus content, and to keep the conversation going, you can easily join the Facebook community. It's all right there at the website, somethingsuperspiritual.com. Signing off for now, namaste.